I'm Michelle.
And I'm Katherine.
And we're here at the Healthy Hurried Human podcast,
where we talk about keeping pace in a world that never slows down.
Welcome back to the Healthy Hurried Human podcast. We're happy to be back after our summer hiatus.
Yes, we are halfway through our season 2, and today I'm really excited for us to be kicking it off with one of Oxygen's favorite clients, Steve Bartholomew. And
yes,
I would love it, Steve, if you would just share with our listeners a little bit about who you are and where you're located and what it is that your company does.
Okay, yep, I'm down in Orlando, Florida. Actually, a little town, Popco, which is a little bit north of Orlando, kind of a suburb. My company is NDE Incorporated, which stands for Non-Destructive Examination. So we do all types of, whether it's inspections or metal testing, a variety of industries from petrochemical to aerospace to amusement. Like I say, we do everything from rocket ships to roller coasters. And we have offices in Louisiana, in Florida, and we're getting ready to open one in South Carolina here pretty soon, hopefully just outside of Charleston.
Yeah. So NDE, I don't know, when you and I talk, I know it's NDE, but I don't know if I've ever really put it together, non-destructive examinations. And so explain that to me a little bit, because that's very specific. So this is going to... Katherine has more of the engineering construction background than I do. So are there companies out there who actually do examinations with destruction?
Absolutely, yeah. There's various ways. So ours obviously does not hurt whatever the material is that we're testing. And it's very similar to the medical world, right? I mean, we use radiography or ultrasound to test. So again, you can volumetrically, you can look inside the parts or the piece and see if everything's okay, essentially, without hurting it.
Okay. One of the reasons I was looking forward to having you on and talking to you, because I know kind of your story in getting into this field, and I've always been a big fan of how, because you are the sole proprietor, the sole owner of this company, and I've always had a lot of respect and admiration for how you lead. You are a people person, and you really value the people who work for you. And so we're going to be talking about mentorship today, and that is something that I think you have valued, and I think you've experienced it. And in engineering, but specifically in this type of industry, precision and safety matter. And so there's not a lot of wiggle room for, letting things slide or whatever. Why does mentorship matter just as much in this industry and in what you're doing?
Well, so just to give you an idea, in our industry, mentorship is huge. And to give you an idea, like when it comes down to the operating practice of how we do what we do, you have called out standard to say, hey, look, for someone to do a particular inspection, they're going to have X amount of training, right? Like classroom hands-on training. Mm-hmm. And then you have to have, which I would call the mentorship part of it. So like in our industry, we'll say, hey, look, you have to have 80 hours or 40 hours of hands-on training, but you need 600 hours of mentoring before you can get your next certification level or be able to level up in whatever practice you're looking at. So yeah, that's how important it is to this industry, that they value the mentorship over the classroom training, as far as the value of it.
What does the mentorship look like? Like, I think that's a word that, to me, I have an idea of what it looks like. Katherine might have tell me what it looks like for them and for you.
So for us in the inspection world, it's, though you start out from the bottom as an assistant, right? And then you're paired with, if you would, kind of like in some other industry, they may call it like a journeyman or a master, right? So we have levels 1, 2, and 3. And so the level 2 is like your journeyman, if you would. And so everybody gets paired with a level 2 as far as like they're as an entry level person, right? So you come in knowing nothing, then you're paired with someone, and that essentially becomes your mentor, and that's always that's the standard for everything as it goes forward.
So, does everyone end up being a mentor, or do you have specific people who are mentors?
So that's a good question. So no, because we do have a lot of independently working level twos, and then you have your certain level twos who are the mentors. Because it's
How do you pick out the people that you think would be successful as a mentor?
So in today's world, it's the mentee is the problem. To be honest with you, it's those younger ones coming in and trying to get them to adapt or to take to the mentoring process. They're too busy on their phones, or they don't. So really, the problem isn't trying to find good mentors; it's trying to find good mentees, if you will, right?
Yeah.
That's the issue that we face. Is I go through a lot more.
Seems to be common. Something
we're finding that across all industries is the lack of preparedness for
the new generation,
learning from the people who have actually done the job or who have been in the industry longer.
Yeah,
that seems to be a common.
You're not by yourself that way. So, Steve, I want to get into a little bit of your mentorship story. Who mentored you, not just in what you do, but in business in general?
So that's an easy answer. So the gentleman named Ova Stambush is probably one of the most influential as far as how my leadership style is today. It comes from him for sure. And as much as I respect my father, being in the family business, Ova, I got everything that I know from Ova as far as how I conduct myself, how I do things. Okay. I mean, he's a good man. Of course he's retired. He's retired now, but he taught me so many things.
Okay. I love his name. I've never heard that name before. What are is there a story or a lesson that you carry with you that still now, like I know for people who've mentored me, I can hear them I can still hear them.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I pass on is the whole, like, no one will care how much you know until they know how much you care. Like, you can know a lot of things and you can have all the answers, but until the people that you're working with know that you care, that stuff can bounce right off of them, right? It doesn't get you anywhere. And so to me, it's that having the heart of a teacher is key to being able to be a good mentor and being able to get through to people.
I gotta brag on Steve here for a second and share a little story. He is not prepared for me to share this, but Steve, this is such a good topic for you to be talking about because you literally walk the talk. And I've seen this for the number of years that we've been working with you at Foxygen. But Katherine, a story from Steve. Steve had a worker who, if I get it right, I hope I won't get it right. I think he was doing some things that were getting him in trouble, and he was struggling, and could have been dangerous, if he had continued. And Steve really had lots of reasons to have him move on, this worker. But Steve engaged with the worker to find out that there was a lot of background things going on with his home life, with his personal life, getting his things together. And Steve reached out to me and said, is there a way that we can help him? And Steve paid for him to get some help initially so that this guy could get just the thing that we talk about, the whole-minded human, the things in his life that he was bringing to work that I think was interfering with him being able to do his work. And we ended up working with him for a little while and seeing some just tremendous. He's one of our success stories, the gentleman that he sent to us, and being very proud of what he was able to do. And he did move on to another career path because that was part of it. It wasn't a career that I think he was loving, but he had a heart to be a good worker. But he needed to get some things in his personal life together. And Steve orchestrated that. And so I think this is an excellent reason why you, I think you are a thought leader on this, Steve, in talking about mentorship and why it's important. And you really are a person, say what you just said. I've heard that quote before, but people don't say it again, Steve.
They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
That's right. And you truly do demonstrate that for the people that work for you. So I think you tend to get the best out of your people because of it.
I'm lucky to come in contact with a lot of good people too, so it makes it easy.
Are you still in touch with that worker that went somewhere else, or?
So I haven't talked to him in a little. Yes, so I would probably. So it's been a year or two. So the prior 6 to 8 months afterwards, we absolutely kept in touch. But he was doing great last time I talked to him, and loves what he's doing, and definitely had the show had a positive impact on him, and he's in a better place for sure.
That's definitely an example of seeing the person as a whole and taking the time to work with them and help them find another career that's better suited for them. I mean, that's life
Absolutely.
changing. That's life altering for his family too. And I think that's where people miss the sight of, well, I would say some companies don't have the bandwidth to take a step back and see people as what we call like the whole person, where you see them in aspects and ask yourself, hey, is there something else going on that's impacting this, or is this not the right fit for him? And I think that's unfortunate. And that's what we're trying to say is you actually need to have that bandwidth in there, because it's otherwise everyone's frustrated and the job's not successful and you run a risk and somebody gets blamed for something that could be prevented. But having your mentorship program, were you the one that was noticing it, or was it their mentor or somebody else on the field that kind of clued in as well?
This episode of the Healthy Hurried Human podcast is sponsored by Midlife Thrives. Midlife Thrives is for women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s navigating perimenopause and menopause. If you've felt the energy dips, the mood swings, or the brain fog that make you wonder if you're losing yourself, you're not alone. Midlife Thrives is here to help give you clarity, resources, and a supportive circle of women who get it. No quick fixes, no shame, just some real guidance for real life. Learn more and connect at midlifethrives.com, because thriving in midlife isn't optional, it's your new standard.
Oh no, I was pretty involved with that situation, that project that he was on and working. So, but I wasn't the only one who noticed. Of course, it was, other. We're a tight group, so everybody recognized there was a problem.
Well, it's also encouraging to other people to see, when you see a leader being kind and generous to someone else, then you can build trust, knowing that you're going to receive that same type of treatment.
Steve, tell us real quick how many employees NDE has.
Oh, we've just been hiring like crazy here lately. I think we're up to 75.
Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I knew that you've been building. So tell us a little bit, because when people hear you talk about the mentorship program and how they have to have, 600 hours of mentorship, help our listeners understand, because there are certain fields. I know in my field, when people get their counseling degrees or they're wanting to be a therapist, they have to have so many hours, and it's easy for people to see that as training versus mentorship. What is the difference between true mentorship and a training program? How do you see that?
Maybe training is your how, and your mentorship is your why, with cheat codes, right? You kind of you get to benefit from
cheat codes.
Experience from, because again, like I've always said, there's no substitute for experience. And then this is a way to pass this to help, if you would get, combine some experience into a shorter amount of time, right? Because otherwise you'd have to wait to experience something on your own, but through a mentor who can help you, hey, here's things I've done in the past, and here's what's happened. You're able to benefit from their experience as well. Because there's so many things in our industry that you come across, maybe once every 6, 8 months, or once a year, or once every couple of years. And if you've not experienced that before, you're not going to know how to handle it.
Yeah. That tactic knowledge of I've been here, I've done that. Let me show you what this is like, because they're just some things you have to learn by experience. Now, with your strong mentorship program, you still have to manage people. There's still schedules, there's still requirements, there's still management has to take place. Do you think that with a strong mentoring program like your company has, that how does management show up differently, do you think, in a company like yours?
How does management show up? I'm not, again, it's hard for me to think outside of that, just because we do things the way we've done them for so long. Mm-hmm. I mean, everything is around when we have a new hire, of getting him the experience and getting him with the right person, because we have multiple people who can mentor somebody, right, depending on the situation. So it's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around that, because everything we do.
Let me rephrase the question then. Have you hired people in not just at entry level positions? Do you ever bring them in higher up instead of at 1 or 2, like maybe at 3 at the?
Of course, true.
And have you gotten feedback from them about the differences, how they feel in the more mentored dominant company than a micromanagement type of company?
So we have here recently, which has been we've with this last round of hires, probably was last year, is when it stood, at least when these guys mentioned it to me, that they've really appreciated that mentoring mentality, not just like they came in and we were helping them immediately, right? So when you do bring in that higher level, there's a whole battery of tests and things you have to go through to be able to be certified to work for our company. So you have to prove yourself, you have to prove your skills, if you will, and then through that process, the people that I have that are testing them and are taking them through that process, their approach to that was something that they had not seen before, as far as, because then once that's done, that had established that mentor link, right? They knew now that they could come back and talk with, whichever person it was, whether it was Casey or it was Jeremy or whoever, and say, hey, look, I need help with this, or this is something I haven't seen before, and that they knew that door was wide open and they wanted to help, right? So when someone has that heart of a teacher, that makes it so much easier for somebody to come back to them, right, and try to get more information or to get something that's going to help them to do their job. So yeah, I did hear that. And that was something that made me very happy to hear, because you don't think about it every day when you're doing it. So that was something that I liked. So
it's to me, it's mentorship is I'm walking with you through this, whereas management is I'm telling you what to do.
Or absolutely. Or waiting to see if you're going to fail. Because it sounds like in your company, because one of the things that really stood out that you just said is they come back and ask questions. They don't feel like they're on an island alone and are afraid to fail. They're going to say, hey, I can ask this question before I move forward, or get help in the middle of it. That's especially when you're dealing with the type of roller coasters to rocket ships. I would imagine that some of the questions are pretty critical to get it right. So when you have people that feel like you have a support system, which mentorship provides better than micromanagement. Micromanagement is more performance, and I feel like mentorship is more support. Then
correct.
I mean, that's great.
Well, you just shared with us a real life experience in your company for where this is demonstrated, and I was hoping you would get to that, because we've talked about the new round of hires and how much they really like the culture of NDE in the coming alongside versus feeling like they're micromanaged or they're under a microscope. Steve, do you feel like because that mentorship helps your employees feel more confident and less hurried?
So I would say as far as the less hurried part is important, because we all know when we're trying to figure out something on the run and you feel the pressure of time, that's definitely a stressor, right? If you're trying to figure it, like you're under the clock. But when you've been helped through those situations and you have information, that slows that down, right? Even though even though the time frame might be the same, the fact that you have prior information kind of slows that feeling down when you know what to expect. But, when you've been told, you've had some preparation, or either that, or that, hey, I have a phone a friend, or I have a person right here that's going to,
Yeah.
help me through this. It takes away that, a little bit of that anxiety, if you will.
And the pressure. Yeah, that's 100% for sure. Steve, we're going to kind of wrap this up a little bit, but I wanted to say to you, or ask you to say to maybe anyone who's listening and to the leadership out there, because you really do have a unique leadership style that I've told Katherine I don't think is predominant, especially in the engineering industry. Your approach is very different for this industry, meaning that a lot of times in this industry, there's a lot of high-strung, it's anything to do with engineering, that there's a lot of high-strung personalities and leadership styles. And you, I've always been impressed with the fact that that has never been your leadership style. So what would you say to leaders out there, whether it's your industry or another industry, what would you kind of encourage them to do when it comes to, like, if they wanted to start tomorrow with some simple steps, what are those steps they should take if they really want to value and practice mentorship?
Well, mentorship is contagious, so it has to start at the top, right? You have to develop that desire to want to help the person, below you, if you will, right? Like that's you have to have that. You have to have that heart of a teacher, so it has to start with you at the very, very top. And then again, like in my organization, those that I have mentored over the years, nothing makes me happier than to see them mentoring somebody else. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They've seen the value in it. They appreciate it, so that it just comes naturally at that point, right? It's hard to, you can force mentorship or you can force it, but it's the quality of it's much better when it's done again from like the heart of a teacher. Like this is what I do. This is what I want to do. I want to see you succeed, and then that's where it starts. It starts at the top, and that's.
Well, would you say
the only way.
Steve? Sorry, you probably want to jump in here, but would you say you have the attitude of a learner, and so you've talked over the years about you look for people to, when you don't walk around feeling like you know everything and you're the smartest guy in the room. You are a guy who reaches out and says, "Hey, show me, teach me." You walk that out in your own life. So, I mean, I would think that has a lot to do with it too.
Right. Again, a famous Steve Jobs quote was, "We don't hire people and tell them what to do, right? We hire smart people and have them tell us what needs to be done." If I'm going to be the smartest guy in my organization, we're in trouble. As I always say, I got to hire people that are smarter than me. So, and that's been the part of the success, right? Is that team that I have? It's that I put together.
What type of do y'all do any typical things with your company with NDE, like an employee recognition or employee culture, like get-togethers or picnics or family days, or what's part of the culture that you do that's more not necessarily training and job that you do to build connection?
So we're all spread out. So it's hard to we've tried those things and it's really, really tough. So we try just to keep we do those things on a smaller scale within the offices themselves. But one of the things that I was going to mention to you when it comes to a cultural thing, we put together, especially this is for like the new hires and when it comes to the aspect of safety, right? Trying to get new guys to understand the importance of safety, is we put together these big boards in each of the offices where we put up pictures of everybody with their families and their hobbies and the things that they do. So we have this huge board with this collage of all these people, all the employees, their spouses, their kids, their family members with whatever hobbies are. And the whole idea is, this is why we want to work safe. This is all of this that's on this board. So that's probably one of the more important things. It's as far as so each office has one and it has everybody on it, and so when we get a new hire in, that's something they can see and understand. Like why do we want to be safe? And these are the people that I'm working beside that are helping me. So I don't know if that answers the question. But
it does, because it goes to the culture you've developed, where you're seeing people not just as what they can produce when they clock in and clock out, but who they are as a whole outside of the office. And it's just, it fits your brand of what you're trying to do, and how you're living it out, that you really actually mean what you're saying, because people can give lip service about, oh, we know that you're not just here. But then if they have no curiosity to be known or to know your employees, I think that's
correct.
Says a lot.
That's right.
And people notice that when they walk in. Vendors notice that. Customers notice that. You have to want to be known and to know others, to really value human life. I believe that shows reciprocity of, like, you're actually important to me because you have value, and I'm interested in knowing you.
I think what you've shown, or in this discussion, that I think for a lot of mentorship can be what people think maybe just a catchphrase, or it's the new word or something like that. And I feel like us talking about this here has shown that mentorship isn't just fluffy, sounds good word. It has a literal impact on safety and quality, retention,
confidence
in high risk engineering environments. That it's not just good and nice to have. It's
essential.
Literally, it's essential. It's essential.
It's a great selling tool as well. If I'm hiring you in to evaluate my equipment, my roller coaster, I want to know that everybody on your team is connected to providing themselves safety and being safe for others. So it's a great selling tool as well.
So I'm going to do a little plug here for our listeners and for Steve as we end. This is the Healthy Hurried Human podcast. And with the Healthy Hurried Human podcast, we talk about 8 key functional indicators that lets us know if we're leading well, the people we are leading are doing well. And we have a few. Mentorship hits 3 of those key areas. Relationally thriving. Mentorship builds the connection and the belonging in the workplace. Mentorship, and I loved it because you actually went to it, is empowering questions. You said when they are mentored, they know they can come and ask the questions. They can be curious, and it's not just about compliance. And empowering questions is one of our key functional indicators. And then lastly, being emotionally grounded. It is one of our key functional indicators, where we're empowering employees to know that they're cared about. Your board of saying, look, the safety measures that we take, they're not just important for you, but they're important for everybody you're working with. And so
and that's where the rubber meets the road too.
That's right.
Is that it's actually practically lived.
Steve, I want to thank you, because you have brought importance to the work that we're doing here at Voxygen with our key functional indicators and the Healthy Hurried Human by talking about mentorship and why it's vital. And I like your word better, essential. So
yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much
for
being our guest.
I appreciate it.
I hope you've enjoyed guesting with us. And I'll look forward to seeing you and talking to you soon.
And
thank you, guys.
Mike, it's very nice to hear someone in the industry that is putting forth mentorship and development for people, because while it's not one of the ones that I kept thinking about is personal development, and this is a huge confidence builder, and it changes lives, and it changes how people show up for work. Even if they were to leave your company, they're going to show up to work differently because they've had a great experience with you. So you're impacting future lives, and I think thank you for sharing your story with us.
I appreciate it. Thank you. It was great.
Right, Steve, any last words?
And hey, also, if you ever want us to come on site, because I would really geek out of watching an ultrasound take place over like a rocket ship or anything like that. That would be like the coolest thing. Oh.
Absolutely. Come on down.
We're in Florida.
That's right.
That's right.
Steve, thank you.
That's right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Take care. All right. See you.
Bye.
Uh-huh.
The Healthy Hurried Human podcast is brought to you by Foxygen Consulting and a handful of silent sponsors who believe in this work and quietly keep us going. We see you, we thank you, and we are glad that you're part of this journey.